And so for me, mindset wise, it has been so difficult to kind of flip that and be like, it's okay to outsource stuff on the personal side if it's freeing up more time for me to then actually go and make more money from the business side of things.
Yeah.
Because like as entrepreneurs, we can have that flexibility and that income a little bit more than maybe people who are working 9 to 5.
Hello and welcome to another episode 246 to be exact, of the Wisdom and the Tangents podcast. I am your host, John Mansfield. This is a place for photographers and creative entrepreneurs to grow your business, build your community, and create the lifestyle you always dreamed of. And that's exactly what my guest and I are talking about today, is creating that lifestyle. Because a lot of us, we have our hands in everything in our businesses. It's just, I want to do this. I have to do all of these things. And today we're kind of like switching out of that and into a CEO mindset, and really talking about how we can outsource and how we can delegate, push things off to other people who are really good at doing those things, or using systems to do those. We get into all of this with my guest, and my guest is Manali Sontakke. She and I both connected when we spoke at the Conquer Summit in summer of 2024, and it has been really great following her since then. And just, I love her outlook on outsourcing. That's one of the reasons where I was like, we should talk about outsourcing when you come on the podcast. And but yeah, Manali is a Ohio-based business coach. She's a private editor and integrator. She helps creative entrepreneurs become confident behind their business and lead a free and fulfilling life. She is all about those time-saving systems and templates and outsourcing, and that is exactly what we're getting into today. So let's get into my conversation with Manali. Manali, welcome to the podcast. I'm excited to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me, John. I'm really excited about it as well.
Yay. Yeah, no, this is a topic that, like, I personally fought against for the longest time. I was just like, not gonna outsource.
Mm-hmm.
I have like the secret sauce, and I need to have my fingers in every single aspect of my business, or it's not my business.
Mm-hmm.
And then I learned about the magic of outsourcing and just like how much time I could get, and now I can't get enough of it. So I'm hoping that like there are at least a few of the listeners who are kind of in that same boat of been on the fence, and then through our conversation today, just kind of really jump over that fence. But could you give us a little background about you, where you're based and what you do?
Yeah, I'm Manali. I am the owner of Manali Photography. I started my business 7 years ago, in the greater DC area. And I started out as a wedding photographer. So wedding photography was what I did for about 10 years. And then as COVID hit, I started to kind of pivot away from shooting as much. And so nowadays, I'm an editor for other wedding photographers. I do a lot of speaking engagements. I do business coaching specifically, again, for photographers, not just wedding photographers. And then I have also recently started helping a lot of the educators in our industry as their integrators. So helping them behind the scenes with their digital products and course launches, and everything like that. So it's been a bit of a whirlwind with some pivots here and there. But I would say outsourcing and having team support has been something that has helped me navigate all of those seasons and shifts, and is something that I actually was one of those people who outsourced, I would say, pretty early on in my business. I brought on a virtual assistant, I think, within my first year in business, and it was so incredibly helpful. I kind of came from a full year of, working my 9 to 5 as a consultant. So in like corporate America, and I was still dancing competitively at the time. And then also ramping up my business and trying to run it as if it was full time before I got to the point where I was like, okay, we're doing a little bit too much here.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
It's
just
so
like, I'm
much.
feeling like the stress build up on me just listening to that. I'm like, that is so many things all at once.
Yeah, and so I think my base default was like handle all the things and do all of them, and
Yeah.
trying to excel at everything and not drop the ball. But obviously, like when you're working and doing that many things, like something starts to give a little bit. And for me, I think that was like really a bit of my mental health and my energy, and a bit of like if if the people in my life were not like directly involved in one of those three things, like I started to not get like the invites out to brunch or out to this like random event because everyone was like just like she's so busy. And so
Yeah.
after I went full time, I did have a little bit more time in my schedule. But one of the things that I realized very early on was like, okay, there's so much still to handle. Like, I did the exercise, I think, really early on where you write out what you were doing from a task perspective. Like, I did it on sticky notes and I put them up on my wall, and I was like, whoa, there's so much that goes into it, you know?
Yeah, no, I love the sticky note thing too, because that just really gives you the visual of
Mm-hmm.
like you can I did like on an Excel spreadsheet and I was just like
Mm-hmm.
typing and just had, a row for each one, which was still like I had to scroll a bit to see everything, but I can just imagine just like half of a wall just covered in pink sticky notes. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that this is everything that I'm doing right now. And yeah, that's a great visual. So yeah, if anyone's listening who has not done that exercise yet,
Mm-hmm.
get a stack of sticky notes and see everything. But yeah, okay, so you did that, and then like what happened after that?
I was like, okay, I need to bring on a virtual assistant. Somebody, especially because like throughout my entire time of running my business, I've also been traveling a lot, not just for like weddings that I'm shooting, but also just personally. Like travel is a huge thing to me. Going full time allowed me to travel a little bit more. I have family overseas and that sort of thing. And so for me, it was kind of just like, okay, yes, I can do all of this by myself, but it would be nice to have someone where if I'm traveling, there's the business isn't stopping completely. Like if I'm out of the game, or if I'm like always the account for the worst scenario, you know? So like that's why we have a second
Yeah.
shooter and a whole community of people we can pull from if something happens to us as photographers. And I was like, well, I think that it would be really helpful for me for like my sanity to have someone similar from the business side of things too, um, who like obviously is not going to be like a direct one-to-one replacement for me, but somebody else knows how this business like generally operates and can keep it running a little bit just in case something happens. And so I was like, okay, I think I'm going to bring on a virtual assistant. I was very nervous about it because I was fairly new to business, and I was like, how much can I pay this person a month? Like, I don't want to like promise somebody something. And then from a financial standpoint, you're like, well, shoot, I'm not bringing in enough this month to be able to pay that person. Like, I hear that fear all the time. And that was something that I really, really struggled with. And I would say that was more than like giving up control for me. It was like the, am I going to be able to like afford this? So I
Yeah.
started very, very small. I think I started at like an hour a week. So like maybe 4 to 5 hours a month. And at first I was like, do I even have enough stuff like to give this person like 5 hours of work a month? Um, and so there was definitely a little bit of time where I was kind of like dipping my feet into it. My virtual assistant was kind of like learning how my business operated. And it was like you said, like as I started to hand over some tasks, I started to realize, oh, there's actually a lot more that I can hand over that I think like I have to have my hand in. But realistically, it doesn't necessarily have to be me. And I was working closely enough with my VA where over time, like I was so surprised, like she would be able to write like a Facebook post for a shoot or something in my brand voice. And
Yeah.
that blew my mind.
You're like, wait, did I write this? Did I send you
Yeah.
the copy for this?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love what you said about like, because I feel like this is like a little barrier for a lot of people is
Hmm.
um, the do I have enough work to like you
Hmm.
saw all the sticky notes, you see how much you have, but then it's just like whenever it comes to a point where you're hiring someone, it's like, well, do I actually have enough for them to do? Like
Hmm.
if I bring someone in and they're really good at what they do, maybe this like little bit is now like they're it's coming up next week. I'm like, I don't know, I don't really have anything
Hmm.
else for them. um, but I love the like starting off small of just like
Hmm.
an hour a week. You don't have to bring someone in for 40 hours a week and pay them like a
Hmm.
full salary position and everything from the beginning. That might
Hmm.
go. Who knows? I know that a lot of virtual assistants they work with a lot of different people,
Hmm.
and they're not just relying on you for all of their
Hmm.
income. Which I know for me, like that's a big thing of
Hmm.
like, especially like I have associate photographers
Right.
in my business, and that's like I need to make sure that I have enough work
Hmm.
to pay them and all of
Hmm.
that, and then I have to remind myself they run their own businesses too.
Yeah.
Like this is an extra thing for them. So like a virtual assistant, a lot of times they're working with a dozen different people. So
Hmm.
doing an hour in your work is great, and then they maybe have 4 hours to work with someone else. So yeah, I think like that is definitely something that for me I felt the same thing
Yeah.
about hiring someone, was just like, I don't know, will I have enough? And
Hmm.
with business, the roller coaster of entrepreneurship and seasonal work, especially as a wedding photographer in Texas, I'm like, oh, what about the summers? Am I going to be able to pay them and all that?
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's a really great point of like, you don't have to start off at, you know, 10 hours a week or something.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And it was one of those things where I actually like started out, I was like, okay, just handle Pinterest for right now. And then we'll kind of go from there. So that was the
Mm-hmm.
only thing that she did, I think, probably for like that first month. And then I started to like once we were good with that back and forth, I started to hand over, I think, like blog post SEO, where I was still writing the blog posts myself and pulling together the images, but then that like SEO checklist of getting Yoast to give you like the green light, she was
Right.
handling that, you know?
Yeah. No, that's and that is great because you can just like build upon what you're
Mm-hmm.
handing over, where it's like, okay, what is something that I feel super comfortable with just
Mm-hmm.
letting someone else do? And yeah, Pinterest is a great place to start because it's like you've got all the stuff and like they can just pull from your blog posts or
Mm-hmm.
Instagram or whatever and then post on Pinterest, and you don't have to do that because that's like a whole extra thing, and it's a different, I don't know if it's probably not a different side of my brain, but it's just it's so different than posting on social media for me to post
Mm-hmm.
on Pinterest, that I'm just like I have to change gears and think about different things whenever I'm posting there, and a lot of times uh, I don't because of that. So yeah, like having someone of just like, here you go,
Mm-hmm.
this is my content. You can post on Pinterest for me.
Yeah, I was gonna say like one of the biggest things that I learned to do early on in terms of outsourcing was like if I realized that there was a task that I kept pushing off or like just
Hmm.
kept falling through the cracks or wasn't getting done that I kind of wanted to get done, that was like an instant little, okay, maybe this is something that we delegate. Like if I have a workflow in place, but for whatever reason I'm like not getting to it, to hand that over to my virtual assistant. So something that's actually, I don't know, this is probably kind of funny, but when I first started speaking, I was really nervous to like pitch myself to podcasts, or even submit weddings for publication as well.
Uh-huh.
Just because there's that little bit of like mindset barrier, I think sometimes for us. And so I started to hand that over to my virtual assistant where she would at least like just draft it out and then I can go in and then hit send. So I don't have that full barrier of like staring at the cursor for a task that feels kind of like a little stretchy. I wouldn't say scary, but just a little stretchy that is like very easy to be like, I'll do that next month. And then it was that extra like layer of accountability for me as well. So I feel like that's not something that people talk about in terms of outsourcing. Like usually they're like, okay, we have like the full workflow. Like you teach them how to do XYZ, which I think is still applicable in the sense, but I would have my virtual assistant help me with those little things like that too. And I felt like that was super helpful because having somebody get you about like 80 to 90% there, especially for things that you are like a little nervous about, but you probably should do, is super, super helpful.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and like I feel like for me it's hard to like hype myself up to other people, like pitching myself
Mm-hmm,
to
mm-hmm,
like be on a podcast or submitting to a publication or submitting to speak somewhere. And it's harder for me to be like, I'm really good at this and these are the things that I can talk about. But like having someone else hype me up, and even just like you said, like getting that 80-90% there where
mm-hmm,
they're putting that all together, I'm not having to write all of that. I can just be like, okay, well, yeah, no, this is right. I am good at speaking about these things. I will send this off now. But yeah, it's hard for me to like uh, put it into words without feeling, I don't know, like boasting or a little
mm-hmm,
showboaty or whatever. And like I grew up in a very like one of it I think is great of just like one of our characteristics is just like humility. Like you want to be
mm-hmm,
humble, so don't go like showboating around. And I think that has been a hurdle that I have to get over of like
mm-hmm.
it is okay to like pat yourself on the back when you've been doing this and like you are an expert in your field. You need to share about that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, having someone else, if that is something that is difficult for you to write, it's like having someone else write that. Amazing, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it would be super easy. Yeah, so like with that, I know we've kind of talked about like people who want to be hands on with everything, kind of getting
Mm-hmm.
past that a little bit. But like, how can
Mm-hmm.
we outsource strategically to benefit our business it like where it needs the most?
Yeah, so a couple of things come to mind. My first recommendation is actually, if you haven't already done this in the past, is to start tracking your time when it comes to what you are working on in your business. And so I use it's a Chrome extension. I just kind of keep
Mm,
it pinned in my Chrome browser. It's called Toggle. It's Toggl, so without the E on the end. It's
okay.
free. And you can just type out what it is that you're working on and hit the little play button. And then you work on your task. And then once you're done with the task, you come over and you stop the timer. And so I recommend tracking your time for a week. Don't be precious about it. If you have an off week, that's okay because that is like pretty normal, like no week is perfect. But starting to track your time will give you clarity around what in your business is actually taking you the longest. So that's one place to start. And then kind of maybe like at the end of 2 weeks or at the end of 1 month, looking at, okay, what is taking the longest amount of time? And is it something that requires both my face and my voice? If not, maybe that's something that we think about like building a workflow around and then outsourcing to somebody. So
Yeah.
that would be my first tip when it comes to starting to figure out, okay, what is it that we start to hand over?
Yeah. And that I love the like the toggle, just like this is what I'm working on right now and now I'll switch to this, or now I'm taking a break.
Mm-hmm.
And having that, because I feel like that would also help a lot with just grabbing your phone, like, well, I'm just gonna like scroll through TikTok real quick and
Mm-hmm.
just take a 2 minute break, and then it's like 35 minutes later. But if you know that that toggle is counting, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm planning to take a break in 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Then I can, jump on social media, or then I can take a break and do whatever. But I feel like that would be a little bit more like accountability of
Mm-hmm.
if you find yourself lost in like, oh, how did I get on my phone again? And which one? Move your phone away from your desk. I have had to do that because it is just, it's way too easy for me. Like, I'll just put on a podcast or something
Mm-hmm.
and then charge it on the other side of the room because it's way too easy for me to just grab it and then get lost. But yeah, also having that toggle, like counting
Mm-hmm.
the seconds, like I have to stay on task because I have someone or something counting the time that I am doing this. So yeah, no, I think that is so good because we often don't know what's
Mm-hmm.
taking the most time. We have an idea,
Yeah.
but we don't actually know until you actually look at it. And then it's like, oh, I spent that many hours answering emails.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that is not necessarily something that needs your face or voice to
Mm-hmm.
it. And like you said earlier, with like your VA being able to write things in your brand voice, to where you're just like, did I write this? This sounds exactly like me. Like
Yeah.
eventually, working with someone, they can get to that point where you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
this is great. No notes. Send
Yeah.
it.
Send.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the really interesting thing, like from a psychological perspective too, when it comes to time tracking, is with tasks that we don't like, we always think they take much longer than they actually do. Versus if we're
Yeah.
like immersed in something that we do love, the time flies. And so it gives us a really objective view because, like, for me, every single year when I like sit down to fill out my tax organizer, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like push it off because I think it's gonna take forever. But now over time, I'm like, okay, I know it like takes me about an hour, so it's actually like not that big of a deal, you know? So
Right.
it's been
Yeah.
helpful from that standpoint too, from just like a clarity standpoint in terms of that. So
Yeah. Oh no, I feel that whenever I fold the laundry because I'm just like, it is going to take forever. I have two baskets that I have to get through and it just gets put off and put off. And then
mm-hmm.
whenever I actually do it, I'm like, oh, this was 7 minutes. This was nothing. Like I was putting it off and now everything is wrinkled because it's been sitting for 3 days. But like, it is exactly that mindset of, I don't enjoy doing this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a task that I'm pushing off. It's going to take me longer versus something that you really enjoy doing. The whole time flies when you're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
My 10-year-old is learning that a lot right now. Like whenever we'll go to like a birthday party or something,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a 2-hour deal at a trampoline park. And then
Mm-hmm.
we're like, all right, hey, it's time to get your shoes on. It's time to leave. He's like, we just got here. What are you talking about? I'm like, no, time flies. It has been 2.5 hours now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like it is, that's another great indication of like, if you're just pushing things off and pushing things
Mm-hmm.
off because you think it's going to take an extra amount of time, like that's really great to outsource because someone else might be like really proficient in that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you saying like you do photo editing for other
Yeah.
photographers now. Like I know so many photographers that hate editing. They're just like,
Mm-hmm.
send me out there with a camera. I get to work with people all the time. I
Yeah.
love it. But sitting at my computer, it's just like everything piles up and it gets pushed off because like, well, I don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll throw like old episodes of Friends or something
Yeah.
on just to get me through this. But no, I think that is it's a great like mindset shift of,
Mm-hmm.
it might feel like it's going to take a long time, but when you actually do it, when you actually have that toggle counting everything, you're like, oh, that didn't take that long. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'll feel better about having to do this next time.
Yeah, and kind of funny story with that, with outsourcing too, is I always tell people like, well, yes, look at how much time your tasks are taking you, but then like don't be afraid to like keep things that you actually love because I was told like
Mm-hmm.
pretty early on, like, okay, one of the first things that you outsource, like outside of like admin stuff to VA, is editing if you're a photographer. And so when I was shooting a lot, I actually did start to outsource part of, or actually most of my weddings to an editor. But I kind of outsourced myself out of one of my favorite parts of my job, and I didn't realize it for like a year. And now it's hilarious because now I edit for other photographers. So yes, obviously like track your time and toggle, but also like let yourself keep things that you actually genuinely enjoy and love, even if it feels kind of like counterculture to maybe what you hear other people outsourcing. But also on the flip side, I love getting to hear from other photographers or other entrepreneurs. Okay, what are the things that you're outsourcing? Like, what are those little tasks? Because somebody will like mention something so small and one off, and I'm like, I didn't even realize that I could like pass that on. So I think like one, looking at your time that you're tracking. Two, think about what you actually enjoy versus what you're like, ugh, like I don't want to do it. It keeps getting pushed off. Um, and three, ask other people too, just to get a sense of like what other people are outsourcing. And I think something that doesn't get talked about enough is also like outsourcing stuff on your personal side and not just specifically within business.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up too. When you were saying that,
Yeah.
I was like, I was thinking of meal prep and stuff where I'm just
Yeah.
like, I enjoy the cooking part. I don't
Hmm.
enjoy the, okay, what do we need to buy? What's the, the list? And like, oh wait, we forgot we're out of bell peppers, so we can't make this one,
Hmm.
and that sort of thing. And having something that you can outsource, some sort of like meal service, or like
Hmm.
we're big Costco people. We love going to Costco, and they have like pre-packaged kind of things where it's just
Mm-hmm.
like you make the side of like rice or pasta or whatever, and then everything else is just like poured into the skillet. You don't have to think about it, and that has saved us so much time
Hmm.
of just like trying to figure out what to do for dinner, but
Yeah.
also the actual meal prep time, which with three kids and now with gymnastics and baseball going on
Yeah.
at the same time, we're just like any quick meal is going to be great. And these are healthy too. So
Hmm.
bonus. Kids, I'm going to tell you an incredible story. A story about how I met your mother. And I'll tell it in less than 9 years. Years ago, I used to spend all of my time editing photos and straightening and cropping and color grading. All of my friends thought I was antisocial, but really, I was just overworked. Then I met Imagine AI. Imagine AI looks at the steps that you take from your raw images to your final products, and then they replicate that so everything looks like your edits. And the best part is that they learn more and more and get better after every single photo shoot. Since I've been using Imagine AI, it has saved me over 200 hours of editing time, time that I could spend on other things like going to Super Bowl parties and meeting your mom. So, if you want some extra time in your life, go to allheartphoto.com/AI and get your first 1,500 images edited for free. That's allheartphoto.com/AI and get back your time. See how I didn't fixate on your Aunt Robin? This is how you tell a story. Now back to the show.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
so
was gonna
you were
say,
gonna, yeah. Go on with some other examples for like personal time.
I would say the biggest thing for me is like house cleaning. Is it something that
Mm.
I can do? Yeah. Do I like it? No. And it's like one of those things where I grew up, I'm like the child of immigrants. And so to them, like we did everything at home as a way to kind of like save money and like invest that in other places. And so for me, mindset wise, it has been so difficult to kind of flip that and be like, it's okay to outsource stuff on the personal side if it's freeing up more time for me to then actually go and make more money from the business side of things.
Yeah.
Because, like, as entrepreneurs, we can have that flexibility and that income a little bit more than maybe people who are working 9 to 5. So, that has been my thing that I'm working on right now actively when it comes to outsourcing is like allowing myself to outsource on the personal side of things. I feel like I've gotten a good handle of it within my business, but then realizing like one is not quote unquote better than the other. It's like what is going to give me like time and energy back, throughout the week. So that has
Oh
been
yeah.
a big thing that I've like been in conversation with people too. But I know a lot of people do like grocery pickup is another, or grocery delivery is another really big one. Um, Cleaning, like dog grooming, like having some like mobile dog groomers I learned about. And I was like, that is so, So smart. You know, just like little
Yeah.
things like that that you don't think of like right away, but there's like really like great ways to, or like just small things that you can try to consider, not just within your business, but I think on like within your life as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And like you know, you were mentioning like the time and effort and everything that it gives you back. But also like the peace of mind. Like
Mm-hmm.
having a clean house, I like my mental state is so
Yes.
much better when I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
you know, stepping on Cheerios and stuff, and everything is like put away and it looks
Mm-hmm.
inviting, and I'm not walking into a room and feeling like anxiety coming up of like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, this isn't like a safe place for me. This isn't a
Mm-hmm.
comforting
Yeah.
place, and like that's another factor to bring in to think about is like your peace of mind. Like
Mm-hmm.
I grew up pretty poor. We did everything. We did a lot of like odds and end jobs. My parents were janitors. I
Mm-hmm.
had like a landscaping business in high school where I
Yeah.
like went to old people's houses and mowed their yard and stuff.
Yeah.
So like in our house, I mean, we've been here for like 2 or 3 years now, so it's
Mm-hmm.
not a new move. But whenever we moved here, like it's got a bigger yard, and
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I'll do all the landscaping. I have terrible allergies. Like anytime anyone is mowing within like a half a mile radius, I'm just eyes watering. I am sneezing all day long. And I was like, okay, this is not great for me to mow. And there's also like other people that, you know, we hired this guy who's retired and he just loves being outdoors and love, you know, he was just like, yeah, you just pay me through Venmo, whatever,
Yeah.
and I'll come around once a week and just keep everything tidy. I was like, that is one great for my time because I'm not out there, but also great for my health because I am not sneezing every single week whenever I'm going out there and trying to, you know, edge the sidewalks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's so many things, like you said, like so many different things that whenever you're talking to other people too, that you're like, I didn't even know that you could outsource that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the pet grooming thing. I drove past a mobile pet groomer truck and I was just like, yeah, that is a business model I would not have thought of. But yeah, there's so many people that I know now that are just like, oh yeah, we have them come around,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have to leave your house, and your dog gets pampered, and that's great. But yeah, so like as we're kind of wrapping up this, what are some good steps? I know we kind of like
Mm-hmm.
touched on a few through this whole conversation, but what are some good like next steps for the listeners to take to start to kind of like see what would be good to outsource and also to get started with outsourcing?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I recommend to people if you're outsourcing stuff, this applies more so on the business side of things, is to get yourself into a task management system or like a project management system. So, some really common ones that are pretty simple and easy to use, I would say, are Trello and Asana, or Notion's kind of newer to the game as well. But getting your brain and your like just workflow or just like your steps of how to execute a task into a system where then you can still communicate back and forth with somebody without having to like email them all the time or like hop on Zoom all the time is so incredibly helpful.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, those are so great because you can like adjust things and
Hmm.
then they can see it in real time, and it's not like you said, going back and forth like 5 or 6 different emails of like, oh no,
Yeah.
no, I meant this, or this is, let's change this back to this. It's like y'all can both be doing that together.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I'm a big Trello person. I
Hmm.
started that in my like 9 to 5 job, which I left that almost 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
So I just like brought it into my photography business too, and it has been so great for organization and just my workflows and everything, and just like having all that on there to where I can
Hmm.
do that anyone else in the team can go in and see what's being worked on, what needs to be moved over, what is upcoming, all that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. It's great. So yeah, if you don't have that, definitely go get those. And I love that they're free too. The free
Hmm.
versions are still pretty solid.
Yeah, I've used the free version of Asana my entire time in business. I haven't like upgraded it or anything. And what's really nice as well is we are able to like I will screen record myself doing a task before I hand it over to my virtual assistant. So for that, I use like Loom,
Mm-hmm.
or just screen record on Zoom and upload it to like YouTube Unlisted, and then I will plop that video into like the Trello card or the Asana card. So that my virtual assistant, like she can always go and just reference that if she needs to. And another really great tool that I've heard of that again is free, is Tango, like Tango. So it'll have you
Okay.
just like do a task on your computer, and then it'll spit out a PDF with like screenshots of like all of the different steps.
Oh, okay.
So it's really, really helpful. It's also really, really quick. When I was switching virtual assistants, there were a couple of things where I had just like taught my virtual assistant over a Zoom meeting or something. So before she, like, as she was offboarding, I just had her go in and use that tool totally free to record anything that we didn't already have a workflow around, because it wasn't exactly a video, but it was like very step by step written out, like what needs to happen. And like, you don't really, you just do the task once as you are like normally, So super cool.
Yeah, I like that because I'm also very much a visual learner. So,
Hmm.
like coming on to someone's team, that would be super helpful to have like those Lim videos or to have that where it's just like it's lined out exactly,
Hmm.
and so great for you as the business owner that you don't have to like go through and do that
Yeah.
all on your own. It's just like
Yeah.
do the task and then it creates it for you. So, okay, cool. And that was Tango.
Tango.
Okay. Okay, cool. I'm gonna check out Tango.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll put all this in the show notes for everyone too. Um, but yeah, no, this has been so great. I would love to hear what you're loving this week, as we kind of like wrap up here. It could be literally anything, book,
Mhm.
TV show, movie, whatever. What are you loving this week?
So I, like I mentioned, I travel a lot, and I have what is called the Remarkable tablet. It's like, and it's really thin, so it's super
Yeah,
portable.
I
I can.
just got one of
Oh,
those.
did
I
you
have
really?
not. Yeah, I haven't opened it up yet. So okay, cool. This is great. I get to hear a little bit
Yeah.
more about it.
It's awesome. I got it as like a business investment one year, and I was like, am I going to use this? I use it every single day. So you're able to like read any, like if you have PDF books or anything like that, you can have them on your tablet. They have a little Chrome extension, so if you have an article and you don't want to read it on your like laptop screen, if you want to not give your eyes a little bit of a break, I'm an editor, so like that's very necessary for me. um,
Hmm.
you can send it right to your tablet, and then you can also like take notes like with the little stylus pen as well. So I recently went to a conference, and so all of my like notes are written, and then I can also transcribe like your handwriting into text. Like, it's so cool. There's so many things it can do.
That
But
was
I
like the
use it
main
every
thing that I
day.
was
Yeah.
like, I want to get this to where I can, because I'm a lot better at like writing down things
Mm-hmm.
than I am
Mm-hmm.
at typing. Um, and I don't want to have to like bring my laptop to different places because I'll just get lost and bring up other tabs and things. And yeah, that so yeah, okay, cool. The remarkable tablet. I'm excited. I need to like actually open mine up and charge it and start using it. But okay, very cool. Yeah, I that may be something I'm loving next week.
Yeah, yeah.
Once
You'll
I
have
get
to let me know how it goes and if you like it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everything that I've heard about it sounds great and sounds like
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I need.
Yeah.
Because I love pen and paper and like writing with a
Mm-hmm.
stylus, and I've had a couple like the cheapy versions of like writing things, and it was fine, but it just like saved it as like a JPEG or something,
Oh, yeah,
and you
yeah.
couldn't really edit it later on. So yeah, I will let you know
Yeah.
once I get it up and going, which I'm sure is just like turning it on. That's really
It's
all I
so
need.
simple. It's so
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep walking past it. I'm like looking at it on my shelf over here. I'm like, okay, right after this, I'm gonna plug that in. Awesome. Okay, let's see. I am loving this week. I am loving our neighborhood. We have like, it's not really a hill, but it's like a very gradual grade in the road,
Mhm.
and our kids, and there's like two other families in the neighborhood that have like kids around my kids' age. We'll just get together these nice like semi-spring nights before it gets too hot
Too
here,
hot.
uh,
Yeah.
and they just like jump on their scooters and bikes and stuff, and they'll just go down the road
Oh.
and then come back and race, and all of us parents
Hmm.
just like hang around and talk, and they usually, the kids wrap me in or wrangle me into to playing like soccer or something with them,
Oh.
because
Yeah.
I always have to do something. I just can't stand around.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just been really nice, and like yeah, these are the nights. These are, I love that my kids have these neighborhood friends
Yeah.
to hang out with, and I remember just getting on my bike as an 8-9 year old and just taking off with my
Yeah.
friends, and just like we would go adventure, and
Yeah.
I love that they have that, and like we're able to hang out with them, and it's a fairly not super busy, like it's not a pass-through
Hmm.
street,
Hmm.
so we don't have to yell car every 2 seconds. But yeah, I'm loving that right now. This week that it's been really nice in the evenings,
Hmm.
so definitely soaking these in before we're into the 90s and 100-degree weather.
Hmm.
But yeah, well, Manali, thank you so much for being on the show. I really enjoyed getting to talk to you, and I feel like we've been in like similar circles
Yeah.
for a while, and I've seen
A
you
long
at
time.
different places and online. I'm like, this is nice to be able to like chat and
Hmm.
put face to, well, I guess your face is already with your name, but we get to chat
Good to
with you
connect.
live.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. But yeah, well, where can other people connect with you and
Mhm.
get to follow and chat online?
Yeah, so my website is probably the easiest. It is manaliphotography.com. And then I'm mostly also on Instagram, which is my full name. So it's Manali Sontakke, but easy to find from the website. And then I am pretty connected, and my email list gets like the full behind the scenes scoop all the time. So again, you can kind of find it just on the website, but those are the main places that I am online, I would say.
Awesome. Well, cool. Yeah, I will have links for all that in the show notes for everyone. Definitely go say hey, and yeah, I've been joining a lot of email lists lately,
Hmm.
which has been nice. It's like it's a different kind of like slow and intentional way of
Yes.
connecting with people,
Hmm.
and that's what I'm feeling like I'm needing, because I'm not like having to rely on the algorithm to
Right. To
bring them
see
to
it.
me,
Yeah.
because like
Hmm.
there have been a few people that I'm like the algorithm brings them around. I'm like, I haven't seen anything of yours in 2 months. Like, what have
Yeah.
you been
Yeah.
doing? And they've been posting. So
Yeah.
yeah, email lists are the way to go. So,
Yep.
but yeah, well, Manali, thanks so much for being on the show.
Sounds good. Thanks so much for having me, John.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Wisdom in the Tangents podcast. As always, you can check out all the show notes at podcast.allheartphoto.com. While you're there, check out the resources page. I've got my email templates for wedding inquiries. They're amazing. If I do say so myself, I go through, I don't have only the templates for you, of different follow-up emails to send, but also a little bit about the psychology behind what we're saying in our emails and when we send them and how to send them. So all that's for you for free, just download over in the resources page. Thank you for listening. If you are not subscribed, definitely subscribe wherever you are listening or watching this podcast, and I will see you for the next episode. Bye, y'all.